Welcome to Education Without Borders. We have our guest here, and today we want to talk about different perspectives or perceptions based on dressing. Very strange, but does your dressing say something about you? Do we have people who come from cultures that base their judgment of your perception of who you are by seeing how you are dressed? We want to talk to somebody who has been exposed to different cultures. Maybe she can tell us who she is and then get on with that conversation. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my name is Grace Kefoikago, and today we are going to kind of pick up on a conversation. So, and also I teach on Tonyamotwe Muoyo here on YouTube and also on Facebook, where we talk about biology, microbiology concepts in my mother tongue of Gikuyu. And today I think our lesson or our conversation is related to a conversation we were having about how perception can be used to manipulate people, because there are many instances where your dress and the way that you present yourself can be used to control perception and manipulate the way that people see you.
Okay, so tell us a little bit more about that term manipulate. What exactly do you mean by manipulate?
I think when I say manipulate, I mean shape the perception. So there are certain ways that we present ourselves depending on our cultural context that communicate certain social cues. So for example, if you are going to work in a specific place, you can choose to wear a suit because you think that can command more attention. But in the same context or in a different context, that doesn't work like that. So it's important to kind of know where you're going, because different cultural contexts require different dressing codes and they communicate different things. Like I remember when I was starting out in science, I worked in a lab where we all dressed fairly informally, because in that social context, dressing formally indicated that you were not taking your work seriously, that you were instead concerned with your appearance. And there are many people who think that way. They think that if you focus too much on your appearance, meaning if you look too polished, that you're vain, or that your priorities are misplaced. So I think what I'm saying is that it just depends, that your clothes can communicate all sorts of things about you before you even open your mouth. So that was the conversation we were having earlier that Tata Wanjiko thought was really interesting.
Yes. I thought it was very interesting because coming from Kenya and Africa, and even coming more specifically from academic background, there is a certain way I would dress, for example, and maybe then people would have a totally different perception of what it is, or they would even be concerned that maybe there's something going on. Do you think that also has something to do with the way you have branded yourself from the beginning, and the society expects you to remain that way? Otherwise, if you change, then there is a problem. What do you think?
Yes, I think that's exactly right. Society has very specific rules about what is considered proper and tidy. And so then I think when you deviate from that, it's considered like a problem, and or it's considered a statement, because at the end of the day, I think when we interact with people, we engage with multiple different levels. Like usually you look at somebody, you look at their courage, like so their posture, you look at their attire, you look at their hairstyle, you look at their nails, you look at their car, their bag. Like all of these are cues that people use to determine your worth, or sometimes to determine your status. There's a lot of status. So it's like all of these cues. And yeah, so the long story short, I think, is that yes, I think all these things, if you change them or if you deviate, it's usually considered a problem.
Okay, do you think this is important for fresh graduates coming out of school and considering is a different generation, not their parents or their aunties and other people's generation, the generation that will graduate, for example, in 2025. Do you think this is an area they need to pay attention to, because it could make or break opportunities for them? Do you think so?
I think that they will be penalized for their based on these rules. But whether or not I think that is a good thing is a separate thing, because I think that these rules, they are based on metrics that may or may not be relevant, right? So you may be going to an office and you're told you have to wear a suit, but you're wearing a suit. Why? Like, is that directly related to your work? And what is the metric of professionalism? And why are those standards established? Does it matter based on your context? So, for example, if you're working outside in a game park, you don't need a suit. What you need are trousers that will protect your feet, and shoes that will protect your feet from the elements, from animals. If you're working in an office, the purpose of a suit is to standardize your appearance so that you match everyone else, or so that you kind of de-emphasize your appearance and emphasize your work. So I think it is so contextual. So I don't know that I can give a specific answer to that question. What I can say is that to pay attention to the job and what it requires and what the purpose of the job is. And the reality is that if you are in such conflict with that job place, maybe that's not a good fit for because all of these attributes are essential to your well-being and you feeling like you fit in that environment. So if you go to an environment and you hate the way that everyone is dressing, then maybe that's telling you something about yourself and telling you something about that environment. Like that's information that I don't know what you do with that information, but that's relevant information. So I don't think I can prescribe a specific answer to that, but I can just say it's just one thing to consider and to think about, that you will be judged because people judge based on first appearances, and all of these cues matter.
Okay, thank you very much. Maybe you can now tell us something about maybe a little different, but what would you advise a young graduate coming out of school and moving from their country to a foreign country? What are the things they need maybe to pay attention to other than their certificate? What else comes out strongly as an important thing that they need to pay attention to so that they gain acceptance?
I would say the first thing is to be yourself and to accept yourself as you are, because I think once you accept yourself, it's easier to kind of exist in the world. I think if you don't accept yourself, then you end up looking for acceptance from other people, and that makes you really vulnerable because people can manipulate you in that way, and or you will end up looking for metrics of affirmation that are external, and that will never end. Like, you will always be trying to fit in or trying to reach these standards that are not, you're never going to finish. Like, there'll always be something else. So step one, accept yourself as you are and be comfortable with yourself as you are. Step number two, when you reach wherever you're going, pay attention to the environment and pay attention to the people. There are going to be some people that are your allies, there are going to be some people that are not your friends. But you just have to be very open-minded to the environment and pay attention to the people that you meet there. The allies may or may not look like you, they may be different from you, they may look like you. It's varied. So I think, honestly, if I were to distill my advice into two pieces of advice, it would be, number one, accept yourself and be comfortable with yourself as you are, because you're fine as you are whole as you are, you're okay. Like, you are a whole individual that has that, and in your whole life is an opportunity to grow and evolve and be better. That is a lifelong process. With regard to your job specifically, when you show up with accepting yourself and being comfortable in yourself, and then engage with the people you meet and understand that you will have friends and enemies of all types and of all ages, and that it is now your job to now start building your community and building your allies and learning. So keep an open mind and look and learn and be engaged. And nothing will be told to you. Like, no one will hand your job success to you. Like, you will build your job success with your open mind and with your ingenuity and your capacity. And if you've gotten your visa, you've gotten your job opening, those people trusted that you were competent. So just go and live that out and show them, and be your best.
Thank you. Maybe now to end, can you tell us, in your own, from your own perspective, what's the purpose of education? What's the whole purpose of education? Going to school.
I think if I were to, and for context, I have a bachelor's degree and I have a PhD. What I would say is the purpose of education is to give you tools to solve a problem that you see in the world. So school in and of itself, like, just because I have a PhD doesn't mean anyone owes me a job. It just means I went to school and I wrote a PhD thesis and was examined and that passed. That's all that means, and I now have a PhD. It doesn't mean anyone owes a job. It doesn't mean I'm guaranteed for a job anywhere. No, it just means I did the degree, that's it. Now, in terms of now getting a job and moving that forward, that's up to me to use the tools that I gained from my thesis work, from what I was taught, from what I observed of my professors. Now I use those as now tools in my toolbox now to build out a job and to build out a future. And in the same way, I would say, so to answer the question that Tata Wanjiko asked is, what is the purpose of education? Is to give you tools to do something in this world to help make it better. In my opinion, I think based on what I know is that it's our job to do a small bit to make the world better. And that means to use the tools that we've been given to make the world better. What this means practically is, if you have a degree in English that has given you an opportunity, let's say a bachelor's in English, what has that given you? That has given you the tools to do critical analysis about literature. What is literature? Literature is stories. Literature is humans who use their creativity to mirror their emotions, mirror their findings to others, and tell stories and help us understand the human condition. So you now have the tools to do that well. So now it's up to you to use that to help the people around you. If you look around and you see that there are potholes in the road, and so maybe then your degree in engineering might be an opportunity to develop a new type of concrete that is really stable, or that will minimize the emergence of potholes. If you're someone who's really interested in the fact that there is no makeup color in your skin tone, then as a chemist you can develop a formula that matches your skin tone. If you look at your friend maybe has a scar that she's embarrassed about, or that he is embarrassed about, you could become a reconstructive surgeon and develop techniques to help the scar heal better. Or you could become a biomedical research scientist that understands wound healing and that can develop techniques and technologies to facilitate, scars that maybe don't stand out as much, or don't cause pain, basically there's a wide range of tools that you get from school that you now use to make an impact in your world. So degree doesn't mean job, diploma doesn't mean job. It's what you do with that tool that means job, and that means an impact in the world.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Grace. We have learned a lot, and we look forward to engaging with you more on other topics. I hope you have all enjoyed the conversations on Education Without Borders, and also you visit Grace's channel on Facebook and YouTube, Tonyamutue Muoyo. That is small things which are living, and then you see much more of what we have tried to expose you to here on Education Without Borders. So continue following, subscribing, liking, and we shall be back with more of such content. Thank you.